Hi, I'm David Bodemer, the editorial director for National Real Estate Investor. We're here at the High Net Worth Investment and Commercial Real Estate Conference. And I'm here with Wayne DAmico, who is the president of CCIM Institute. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Dave.
So with this program, one of our goals is that we're part of a wealth management group that includes both National Real Estate Investor and wealthmanagement.com, and we're trying to bring together audiences that are talking about that represent the high net wealth investor and family offices and the commercial real estate voice. And it sounds like that's, so we're trying to foster a conversation here. It sounds like when we were talking similar to some of the things that you do in terms of like pursuing some of the programs. So you can tell us a little bit about that and how that works?
Well, sure. Again, thank you for having me today.
Sure.
The CCIM program in and of itself is about a core curriculum and designating people who understand our core curriculum and then have shown experience in the industry. And some of the key components of that are understanding the financial implications of owning real estate, investing in real estate, but also then tying that into not only returns, but also understanding what is the wealth maximization. And a part of our, we happen to have 4 core content, and our 4th course specifically goes into understanding the differential between alternatives, to understand what is the wealth development based on the equity contribution, and you look at the alternative opportunities and pick the right one. So the CCIM program is all about how do you invest in real estate, but also not just going after a deal, but understanding the complexities of the financial implications and the benefits of owning and wealth maximization.
Right, and I guess going into, I mean, different investors are going to have different goals for what they want, so trying to get kind of align those interests. Like some may have more preferences for liquidity, some may be looking for tax transfer, some like, you know, like estate planning, correct? So it's like that kind of stuff, like...
Oh, exactly. Just as an example, I represent the organization, but I'm also in the field.
Right.
And we just handled what was a complex version of what's called a single tenant net lease investment. And so those are assets that are fully leased and in control of an entity.
Right.
But the complexities of the creditworthiness of that entity, the terms of the deal are critical. But this one happened to have a high level of cash. And so to an investor, we helped them understand that there was actually critical understanding of what was the before and after tax implications of owning this. And so a passive investor, something like a high net worth individual, okay, has a different return scenario based on their particular tax situation, as well as this particular asset kind of, it was a complicated one to understand what that would look like. And now depending on their portfolio, this asset could offer tremendous value in the context of their portfolio. But again, understanding that versus it's just a traditional deal with a certain return, doesn't mean the same to everybody. And so the CCIM program, my skills experiences, it helped me to identify what was just an investor, relatively passive, but because of their overall situation, this was the right place to leverage their cash.
So I think one of the conceptual issues that I think comes up is, for a high net worth investor or family office, like real estate is like this alternative asset class that's just like this big bucket. Whereas, people that live in real estate, it's like, it's not the alternative, it's what they do. Right. And within it, there's all these different, flavors and levels of expertise. So how does that conceptual difference, how do you bridge that with the conversations?
Well, I think some of the things that you do when you're talking to the person with the money but not the experience, which is kind of what I think you're saying. If you understand real estate, it is what it is. But if you're just investing in real estate, it is hard to bridge that. So it's critical, for example, to explain that in a real estate investment, it's not like just buying the stock where you're in essence taking your chances that the management of this corporate enterprise will react. With real estate, you have management issues to be aware of, but you also have external influences that are very special to real estate. And some of the concerns and things people need to be aware of in the product nowadays, for example, is what is if you buy it with debt. We were just talking earlier at the last panel here, the talking about leveraging a transaction when you have such low interest rates. There's a perspective today that you can't afford not to buy deals and leverage them. But yet, debt is oftentimes shorter term in nature than the holding period of the investor Some things talked about for the best scenarios for high net worth people is to buy long-term investments. Well, the debt is going to change over time, and you have to make sure that when you model that real estate investment, you look at what does it look like if the debt changes. Okay, real estate taxes, huge issue in a lot of places in the country where the real estate tax burden is very likely to become much more dramatic, have a more dramatic impact on something like apartments and multifamily, where you don't really pass through the raise in that expense other than through your rents.
Right.
And so understanding the impact of, and the chance that you could lose return capacity because of an external influence like a government agency charging you more, okay, something to understand. And so it is our challenge as people in the field to explain those kind of complexities to the point that they don't glaze over and walk out the door and get freaked out.
Right. And so aside from this this kind of topic area, are there other initiatives that CCM, like, that are highlighting at this point, like that you had?
Well, CCIM has gone through some interesting changes over the last few years, as we all have, as we are very much so entrenched in the real estate industry. The industry went through a hiccup, but it's created great opportunities for us, and we've identified that we have a few places of focus. One is that the CCIM program in a city like New York City, where we are today, doesn't enjoy quite the same recognition for what we are as far as practitioners. We are, in essence, the CPA, if you will, of not of accountants, but of the real estate group. Okay, it's a designation that you earn. But if you go into different markets, like even in Los Angeles or Chicago or down into Florida or Texas, it's a huge credential that truly establishes credibility. And so one of our goals is to raise the awareness of the designation and what it means and what programs we offer in the highest levels, which is more of the bigger city metropolitan areas, and understand that we have representatives that are a part of TIA CREF, and we have people in Walmart and in General Electric and GSA, and as well as broker practitioners across the country. So building that awareness is a key part of our goals. But we're also trying to understand too, what's the international landscape look like. And one of the things that we started, we've been doing international programming for well over 8-9 years now, and have over 1,000 designated people around the country amongst our 10,000. I mean, so it's over 10% of our membership is internationally based. But historically, the perspective was bringing how we do real estate here to these other places. But as the countries are so different, understanding global real estate is quite a complex issue. There's issues of cultural differences and business practices and legal issues. What we're finding now is that the trend here for us seems to be that there's the money that's coming to the States. So there is a value in having an understanding around the country and around the globe of what we do, but we're finding that the people here can benefit through the relationships that you can establish and the common knowledge base of a CCIM program, so that as that money comes to the States, you can help deploy that capital for those Asian or Russian or Polish investors that are spending money in the States.
Right. Well, thanks so much, Wayne, for answering questions and giving us an update on some of the activities.
Well, it's always a pleasure. I look forward to seeing you again.
Sure. And thank you for watching our video, and continue to watch our coverage from the High Net Worth Commercial Real Estate Conference.